belly's wagging out so we can get that engine for the Camaro.
Sweet.
Well, 283 built up, 327, but I gotta move all this crap out of the way first, get this thing going.
And how long has that thing been sitting for?
Belly's wagging, I don't even want to talk about it.
Looks pretty mint.
Yeah, I had to do floor pans, trunk pan on it, and that's kind of about it. Some mechanical work, but nothing too serious, so I got lucky with this one. It was in good shape, and like you see by the interior, I mean, it shows well, so it had a lot else good going for it, but we'll get around and make sure it fires up. Then we'll build a little bridge out of here, because otherwise it'll bottom out and rip the exhaust off. All right, put it on. Just a little something down the carb, a little for the bowls. Hopefully the keys are in it. Even that there, Brian, and climb in here. I forgot how tight it is to get in. Gotta be a little chicken like me. Oh, is it hot in here? It's been like plus 40 for the last 2 weeks, and she's just a zesty gal. Okay, are we in park? Now we are. Okay, put my legs in. Nice, there we go. Not bad, eh? So once the fuel catches up, see, I actually got a new tank on it. That was something I did too. Look at this thing. Just an absolute gem. Next step is going to be getting this motor and tranny in here, but before that I got to clean up this firewall because it is super ugly, super crudely done. And well, now that I'm not going to have it running with that sheet metal over there, I'm going to have a passenger seat. I got to clean up this, well, the firewall along with underneath the dash. They did some interesting tin work to make it work, and then I'll tend to the floor and everything else later. But this floor is actually kind of okay, but firewalls first, because once the motor's in, I won't be able to get in there and play around with it. So cut up and ready to go in. Got our trans tunnel kind of tuned up, good enough for what it's gonna be, and gonna burn it in now. I'm gonna pull this diff out first, and it's gonna be a heck of a lot easier with the quarter not in my way. Don't even have to use a flashlight. I got the new diff here. I think we're just gonna throw it in for now, just so we can roll it around. We're gonna focus on the rest of the drivetrain. All right, so we got the diff out, the diff in, tranny out. We're gonna go through the tranny, flip it upside down, pull the pan off, and see what's going on in there, and probably do the U-joints on this drive shaft before it goes back in. But first things first, go through this tranny. All right, so we found out that there was no tranny fluid here. Instead, we just had water. So we're about to pull this pan off here, and we're gonna see what we're working with in here. You got that pry bar?
Nope.
Oh, now we gotta find it. Not good, but not too terrible. I mean, that's just grime. It's not too corroded on there. It looks fresh otherwise. Buddy said it was rebuilt, and then it must have sat. So
let's give her a wash of
brake clean and
tranny fluid. Let her sit in some tranny fluid.
Got the car, spun around, pulled the front clip off. That was super easy. We've got the firewall in, welded in place, kind of just sealed it with some primer just so we can put the motor in, whatever. We're going to be setting up the motor mounts on this thing today. So I bought these Moroso solid engine mounts. I'm going to have to weld them into place. Right now, it's kind of difficult to determine where they're going to go. So what we are going to do is go off the transmission mount, because I know that that transmission mount is original, and we can work forward from there. So these are just going to be welded on into place like this after we set the motor on with these bolted in. As for wiring on this thing, it's been a super simple car to work on because all it has to do is run. We don't need any lights. So what I've done and I had Brian help me wire up here, is I've got my ignition box and all the remainder of my wiring set onto this here. And just like an RC car, it drops, and we'll put whatever else we need onto here. We've got our simple switches on the dash. Again, there's nothing to this thing, so we've got power and the starter, and we'll probably throw some other gauges in here, but again, the main point of this is to get it running as soon as we can. So we're gonna fire up the excavator, chain this thing up. I haven't determined if I'm gonna put the tranny in first and then bolt the motor up, but I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. We'll try and get it centered. Hopefully it'll stay somewhat level, because we're gonna want that tail shaft angled down. Oil pan clearance and exhaust manifold, so no big deal. We got some parts coming on the way here. I got a rad coming in, have to get that fitted up. But in the meantime, we're gonna be working on our track we got in our backyard here. It's set up for more like Subaru rally car type thing, and it might be a bit much for this thing because it doesn't have much suspension travel. So we got our machines, we're gonna switch it up in the back. Like, comment, subscribe, tag along to see what this thing's gonna go through.